Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another session here at Rindle's Computer Service. Yeah, I know last night that was quite the fire and brimstone towards the end there, but sometimes let's say that you're going to church, for instance, or you're watching an online stream of church service or a mass or temple or wherever you belong. Sometimes when the pastor or the priest or the rabbi basically when it comes to church, a lot of pastors give lukewarm sermons saying it's okay, God loves you no matter what. He doesn't care what sins you've done, He'll forgive you instantaneously just upon saying a quick sorry, but it doesn't quite work that way. You got to repent, and if you're a Catholic, you go to confession. But for Christians, you ask for God's forgiveness, but you have to truly mean it, and you can't just say it and expect God to forgive you and then go back to your old ways. And that's the kind of the big struggle nowadays. But basically, even when we're going to kind of move on with the topics here, when it comes to preaching and evangelizing, and I'm not an evangelist, not yet anyway, but maybe eventually you'll. But sometimes when you have a heated conversation with your congregation or your parishioners or your flock, as some call it, sometimes you kind of got to bring the fire and brimstone out on people and try to wake them up and get them out of their unrealistic reality of thinking, oh, I can do things this way and I'll go to heaven anyway, and oh, I can do things that way. And well, for instance, even in that live stream last night, I know I was hard on people and they're quite upset, but sometimes you got to wake people up, and there's other people out there that do the same thing, and I'm not a qualified person for trying to attempt to be a motivational speaking, but if you never try things and you never give things a try, you never embrace things. There was a guy I knew, he was a pastor from a church that folded, and he always gave me the brimstone because I used to be one of those people too that sinned and did all sorts of really horrific things. Nothing so heinous that you go to prison for, but just kind of, I'm not going to get into exactly what, but it kind of, because brimstone kind of woke me up and brought me to my attention. I need to change my ways, and it actually, the guy that was a pastor, actually he kind of changed even though that I stepped out of faith and I disrespected him and walked out the door on him and never went back, but in over a stupid item that I never should have bought in the first place for him. But the moral of this is you gotta open your heart. You gotta listen to God closely, and not just listening to parts and pieces of what he wants you to do. This is very hard to explain. This is even out of my expertise. But I feel like this computer business isn't really about computers and electronics anymore. It feels like it's turning more into, because most of the people have been stopping here. It's just, it seems like a more, they want more, they come for spiritual advice and spiritual support, and I do the best I can to try to help them, but I'm, I kind of get a vibe that the season for doing computers is pretty much done. It's pretty much turning into, I don't know, maybe God has his hand on something new that's going to happen. But I got a lot of stuff in here that if I'm going to move on to a new adventure or new, or if I'm going into ministry or something, I should sell off what I have, or sell some of the stuff in here, the big ticket items anyway, like some large screen TVs. I don't have them here on site. I have them in an off-site temperature controlled environment, not air conditioned, but they're not sitting in a cold build or in a cold garage either. So they're, I think once summer comes, I'm gonna have to get that stuff out of there because it'll cook to death. Or I haven't, because I don't. It's not in an air conditioned environment. But enough about that. I'm not gonna talk anymore about TVs and that. But so I've tried different advertising. Well, not really much anyway, because COVID-19 has put a damper on a lot of. Because basically, I was told that this is a non-essential business, but I still found a way around it. But I don't have 10, 20. I don't have any more than two people, or two people in here maximum. It's so I'm not really breaking their fake laws, or, well, most of you that have been watching my streams, I thank you in advance for sticking through the majority of it. I know that things kind of get heated at times, but as you all know, I'm not playing into this. I don't live in fear. I don't watch any news. Actually, I haven't watched any TV in like the last couple of weeks. I just go about my day-to-day business, go to work, come here, get stuff done. Kind of been getting on an organizational kick last couple of days, so that's a good thing, because at any time now the fire department could come in and make an inspection. So that's my plan, is to make them. They don't care how messy the shelves in the back corner are here. They would just want a nice clean aisleway and proper handrails and proper safety equipment. And I got a smoke alarm up, and I bought a fire extinguisher last year. They had one at Menards. It was a Kidde. It's not the residential. This is like a 10-pounder. So it wasn't the one that I was required to have. The one I needed was one. I needed one that was good for electronics, but I didn't have $400 to spend, because the fire. That's Ahern Fire Protection Company. I talked with one of their sales consultants, and he quoted me $400, and I'm thinking, oh, that's a little steep. But I didn't have $400 to fork over for one, so I didn't even have. I only had seven. That was. I think that, we're trying to think when I bought that. I think that was July last year. Yeah, that was July. because they came back in September, October, November. They made their fire inspections, which they come 2 months in a row. It's kind of an overkill, in my opinion, but so be it. There's basically, when I have this discussion with the landlord on what they can look at and what they can't, they can look in the room that I'm currently sitting in, or they can go look in the front room, or they can go look down in the basement. But the room that they're cold storage back there, they're not allowed to look in, or the couple of smaller rooms in the back, they're not allowed to look in there. And then the apartment upstairs is occupied by the landlord and his family. So by law, you're not supposed to go through people's living quarters, because they can actually get in some serious legal trouble if you're a fire inspector and you. In some jurisdictions, there might be exemptions for that, but here in Wisconsin, you can't really do that. I know at one point in time here in the village, that was back in the 90s, where firemen were actually inspecting people's houses and going through them and looking through things and stuff like that. And I'm glad they got away from that, because in a way it's invasion of privacy, more or less. I understand that the fire department is just trying to keep everybody safe, and they're doing their jobs, and they're trying to make sure that get a lay of the layout of each building. And I can understand why they want to look around back there and upstairs, but sometimes you can't always have what you want in life. And there's even times my curiosity gets to the best of me, and I'm thinking, any chance I'd ever be able to get upstairs or back there, look around, and landlord would be wild if I went back there. Well, that door is locked anyway. I don't have a key for that door, so I don't really have any reason to be back there anyway. I'm only paying for this one room here, so that's. Speaking of that, I gotta make sure what day is the 10th? Okay, 10th would be. So I'll pay her sometime. I'd probably stop over on. I'd pay up on Saturday or Monday. So that's how I'll do that. And then, oh yeah, where was I? Okay, yeah, that's right. We were talking about merchandise and stuff. We're not going to keep this too long, but basically, I'm thinking about possibly hiring somebody just for the day for filming and video editing, because I don't mind filming videos, and I don't mind preparing or kind of throwing some ideas together to film something, but one thing I discovered is I hate sitting and editing. Not only is it time consuming, but when you have a computer that doesn't really work too well for editing in today's film standards, like in 920 by 1080, this machine that's sitting over here, you could sit here for like 6-7 painful staking hours rendering a video And sometimes if you're not lucky, it'll crash. Computer will crash on you. And now you're thinking, well, let me just upgrade the RAM and put a bigger graphics card in there. Well, problem is, I think before I waste any major money on this Z200 workstation by HP, I think I would save up money and then just go to Camera Corner in Green Bay and get myself a Z. I bought a workstation laptop for less than $200, and I'm using that as my main store computer for up front because I kind of wanted an i7, and I got to do a RAM upgrade on there eventually, but I'm not too concerned at this point. 8 gigs of RAM is currently what came with it. It's a 4th gen i7 processor compared to a 2nd gen i5. So that isn't too bad. Everybody's like, aren't you going to sell that one? And I'm like, no, it's nicer than what I had there before. And then this one here, I demote it and then take one of these i7 Elite Desk 800, take one home, and then use that as and then bring my Dell 1st gen i7 over here with the 2 gigs graphics card and use that as a rendering computer. I'd have to take all the crap off of there first, and then I'll just strictly have it for here. It's not as well equipped as this computer is as far as, yeah. So, let's see. This was nice about having wet wipes around. You can use them to clean up things easier. I had to run to Walmart earlier this morning. No, not at 1 a.m. because they're not open 24 hours a day anymore. So I probably went around 8, 9. I had to pick up a few things here at the office. But since they're out of antibacterial soap in a lot of stores, I just resorted to the wet wipes for washing hands. And they don't even have regular soap, so at least I know last night I said that I was going to boycott Walmart, but I didn't exactly plan ahead for that because all the other stores in the area are closed except for, well, it stopped at Fleet Farm. They didn't have any hand soap there. Stopped at Menards. They didn't have any. Lowe's didn't have any. I checked Dollar Tree, Dollar General. They didn't have any either. They have the regular bars of soap, but the problem with that is when you put it on your porcelain sink I have has a place for the bar of soap. But they get all scummy and I suppose I could just get a Petri dish and just put it on a Petri dish. But I don't have one of those around here either, so. Well, wipes are nice. Once you're done with them, you just throw them in the garbage and it's all good. And enough about that. So I'm thinking, well, like I said, I'm thinking maybe hire somebody for the day for filming and editing. I don't know who I would get. I would preferably want somebody kind of, somebody that knows what they're doing, but somebody that will work for peanuts, because I don't have a lot of money to pay anybody to The only thing I would probably do is pay them in a case. Well, at that point, then they'd have to be 21 or older then. But I would just pay them in a case of beer. Not the tin can beer stuff. I'd buy them a pack of Corona or Budweiser or something, like buy a 12 pack for them or something. Or if I could persuade my friends in Manitowoc to come out for like a Sunday or something and film. I'm a pretty easygoing guy for the most part when it comes to some things, but when it comes to my business, well, for the filming part of it, I don't think I would get too over the top on. If I had, on a serious note, if I had somebody working here, I wouldn't be well, how do you put that without using profanity? I would be more of a stick in the mud when it came to professionalism and the whole 9 yards there. I would probably be a little difficult, but I would still be fair and honest. And I would still treat them with respect and dignity. I wouldn't sit and belittle them in front of customers or anything like that. But I'd probably tease them a little bit, but not to be mean, but just well, it'll all be in fun. So that's just as an idea, because I would basically make it like an advertisement, like an infomercial style video, or because there's people out there that make videos like for car dealerships. There's one YouTube channel that I subscribe to. Not that I want to buy a car at this point. I'm pretty much set on vehicles. I got my van, and I got my Infiniti i30 from 2000, and the Dodge Caravan from 2001. So, but it's actually kind of interesting to look at all the different vehicles and different trim levels, and a lot of the vehicles that this guy does. A lot of times he picks up like $2,000 vehicles, $300 vehicles, and then he's able to fix the majority of them. I would have to say the most impressive one, and these aren't like Maserati cars or Lamborghinis, or these are just down to earth cars like your Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas and Camrys and the Mazda Portages and like Hyundai Accents and Hyundai Sonatas and Chevy Sparks, and or not the Spark. What was that one? Oh, that was a Chevy Cobalt. And then there's Corsica was in there. So most likely those are people are not going to own Maseratis or Mercedes Benz or Range Rovers. A lot of times people are going to be sensible in the economy and just buy a more practical car. That's what I would do. I wouldn't splurge on. For a while, gas here was like 99 cents, and then over in Brillion, it was like 95 cents. So if I have a customer over by Brillion, so I would purposely go see my customer, and then I would go stop at BP in Brillion and fill up for 95 cents. And even 99 cents wasn't bad, but beginning of my Monday, it went up to $1.05, and then by Wednesday it went up to $1.10, and now sometime Thursday it went up to $1.19. And I'm thinking, come on, you could have done it like a 1 month be $1, the next month $1.05, and then so on. Not such a wide gradual, not such a steep incline at once. I'm just happy it's not $4 or $5 a gallon or $4.18 a gallon or $4.50. This is still low. I remember one time, this was back in like 2014. Maybe that was 2015. No, that was 2014. That gas was like $1.96 for a week, and I thought that was the greatest thing. It only cost me like $16 to fill up my Neon, and I thought, wow, this is great. And then all of a sudden it skyrocketed back up to $3 or $3.18 or something like that. And that was just, well, it is what it is. The price of oil went down, so that's probably why the gas went down. I'm not 100% sure. I don't usually follow up on the oil companies very much, but it is what it is. There's not a lot you can do about it, but you just kind of go on with your life. And at this point in time, I don't think I'm going to go out and buy a truck. I would like to have a truck, but I wouldn't buy a gasoline truck. It would be a diesel for sure. My major toss-up between a pickup truck would be either a Dodge Ram 2500, no newer than newest I would go is a 2001, but I would get with the 8-foot bed and the extended cabin, and I'd have a camper cap on the back. And I would probably, I'd have make sure it had a turbo on it, and then straight pipe it. I would not put an 8-inch tip under, not even a 5-inch. I would make it look like it would basically be about probably 3.5-inch, and I would not put a diamond tip on it either. It would just be regular, because you can still get the same sound performance without all that stuff on there. There's a guy I was talking to today. I stopped over at his house to drop some paperwork off for him that I forgot to give him on his computer. And his truck, he's got a 7.3 from 1997, just a turbo. It's got the Ford controller in a truck that he can use to tune. I think it's got a tuning chip in there, but that's about it. And it's a straight pipe. This is only a 3.5. He doesn't have a K&N filter. It's just a Fram air filter. That's all it is. Other than he doesn't have the cat on there or the muffler. I don't think he even has a brake exhaust switch either. But he can turn the turbo on and off, but even for not having all of or tips on it or anything fancy, that truck sounds awesome. Especially when he goes roaring down Highway 10 here, or he goes roaring down Pine Street over by the church. I sometimes think that all those tips on the trucks or having stacks and stuff coming out of the bed, it's all overkill. If you want a straight pipe, just do it original, or make it look original or same size piping coming from the manifold or from the engine out of the manifold out the back. You don't need to waste your money on putting large, nasty tips on there. It's just, not only does it look kind of stupid and pathetic, but it's kind of overkill. You can get by without it. You still get the same sound. So, in a Ford 7.3, I would get one from like 97. Newest I would go on a 7.3 would be 2001, or 2001. But then again, I would want the 8-foot bed, extended cabin, and I'd have the camper cap The reason I go with one from '97 is I think the paint jobs on those trucks are a lot cooler than the ones from like 2001. 2001's trucks are kind of blah looking, but some of those from like '90s, like the '90s, got the two tone. I like those that have like the dark blue with the white stripe down the middle, or the dark blue with like a turquoise strip going down the middle, or one or turquoise truck with white stripes going down the center and then a matching camper cap. I think that looks pretty cool. A lot of people are like, "Well, he's dumb to have a camper cap or camper cap on a truck. Why would you want something stupid like that?" And I'm like, I don't know. It's got nostalgia from like the '60s, '70s, and that. And the other benefit is you can haul your tools and stuff and you can lock your caps. So if you got tools and stuff in the back, you don't have to worry about people stealing. And you can get those with tamper resistant glass on there, or it's got like a some kind of like a thing like something down the middle of the glass that it'll still shatter, but it won't shatter into a million pieces. It'll just be like a spider web effect. A lot of your newer cars with their windshields have that built into the glass. So that's I think the I would it wouldn't have to be a immaculate looking truck or be in condition, but I wouldn't want one that's all completely rusted out either. If I had a little bit of rust on it, I'd be fine. All I would do is just brush waste oil on it. Basically, you take the waste oil like you do an oil change for your lawnmowers or cars or trucks or doesn't matter what grade of oil or where it came from. It could even be oil from a semi or tractors or payloaders or whatever. All I do is I go on a blacktop parking lot. I park at the back of, or if you have a gravel parking lot, you can do this on somewhere where I wouldn't do it up front, but I would do it way in the back of the lot where nobody's going to notice. And then you can just take your oil, get some cardboard to lay on while you're working underneath your truck, and then just you dump your oil in like a pan or something. You don't want to take a good one, but just take an oil pan along and then buy yourself some. You can get these at Fleet Farm, Menards, or Lowe's, or Home Depot. Get yourself some cheap chip brushes, and then you take those cheap chip brushes and you just brush the waste oil on the rust. It's not going to make the rust go away, but it just kind of keeps it from getting any worse than what it is. My grandfather taught me that trick. He had an old '73 Plymouth Satellite where inside the doors was starting to rust out. So when he worked at Tecumseh doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what happened to him. So he's just parked in the back of the lot, dump waste oil inside the doors, and then any or rust on the fenders or anything like that, and let it sit there for the day. And it would just keep it from getting any worse than what it was. My minivan, the back corners are starting to rust out in one panel I didn't get to quick enough, and the rust is basically a cancer at this point because it's eaten away. So what I should do is I got an oil squirter. So what I might do is put the dirty oil inside there and then just crawl underneath there one day and just sit there and squirt it up in there and do a better job. When you do it on a blacktop and then, especially before it gets resealed, basically, not only are you doing your vehicle a favor, but you're killing two birds with one stone. It also kind of helps the blacktop at the same time. So I don't recommend doing this at Walmart. I don't recommend doing it at any retail store, but any place a parking lot's abandoned or somewhere where nobody's going to care. But I don't advise doing it at any churches or anything like that, or doing it on the street, because chances are either a neighbor or somebody walking by will complain and think you're polluting the environment when you're really not. But now, if you dumped it down the drain, yeah, that would be a bigger problem. But and the thing is, you don't want to do it in your driveway either, because then you got oil stains all over. And you don't want to do it on your lawn, because it'll kill your lawn. But push comes to shove, if you had to do it in your driveway, what you'd want to do is just take some wafer board or particle board, or there's another, or you just use some old dirty cardboard. You just put it underneath there and brush your waste oil on and let the cardboard absorb. But once the cardboard absorbs the oil, then you just throw it away. You can't recycle the dirty. So, well, we've kind of got off tangent there, so we're sorry about that, folks. So we will get back to marketing. And so the video thing, that's a possible idea. We're going to move on now. I'm thinking maybe it's time to give Facebook a try. Maybe I should just make an account on there and use Facebook Marketplace to sell items. It's actually very effective, because the pastor that I used to do business with, when he was selling computers and I was helping him with that stuff, that was his main go-to place for selling. But the thing is, with Facebook right now, the government pretty much tracks you down, and there's a lot of corrupt stuff on there. I don't know if I want to go on there and actually use it for business, because to do advertising, you're still got to pay anyway, and I don't have any finances to pay for selling stuff on there and for advertising. And a lot of those sites, as they claim it's free to get on there, there's a catch-22. You still have to pay something, because why would all these sites offer you free advertisement? And the Air Exchange right now, sometimes they're not always available at 9 o'clock or between 9 and 9:30 for Air Exchange. It's basically it's a number that you call, and you get on the air, and you can only do one item a week, and it can't be any more than $1,500. And you have to be honest when you're on there. You can't jip people or anything like that. So that's always another marketing idea. But the thing is, you can't really be a business on there. So, and ads in the newspaper are not cheap either. And what I mean by that is, sometimes large, like if you have a whole page ad, you're probably talking close to $400 or $500. And for half a page, you're probably talking $300. And then just for a quarter page, It's about probably maybe 100 and a quarter. A lot of places, or a lot of newspapers, is like $1 a word. So if you have like 30 or 40 or 50 words describing your business, that's about $50 right there. And they're not going to put that, you know, it's not going to be the big headlines of the paper. That's going to be in the back. And chances are people aren't going to read the whole description. So there's your $50 wasted down the drain. But then again, it could work too. If you never try any of this stuff, how do you know? And that's exactly why you can't exactly give up on. Or the other thing is, like, everybody that comes to the door, why don't you just sit here 7 days a week from like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.? And I'm like, I got 2 other jobs that I go to. And they're like, well, that's dumb. Why would you want 2 other jobs when you could make this your main? And I'm like, it takes money to run an establishment like this. And they're just like, oh, well, aren't all businessmen filthy rich? And I'm like, no, not your mom and pop establishments. I'm like, this place I barely scrape by with $1 profit a lot of times. But if it wasn't for the stimulus or tax return, I didn't. Paycheck would be eaten up by the 15th of the month from the church. So basically, I'm thinking I would go with. I'm thinking I'm gonna try the Facebook marketing or marketplace route for a while, because I got some big ticket items that I would like to move out of here. Not because I want them gone. I like using the stuff, but I started tying out my service cart at the moment, so I would. And usually, every piece of equipment that I get in here, I always try to make a review on it or give a demonstration of it, because chances are I'm probably never going to see something completely like that again. And I got to get the motivation to start filming again. You kind of lose heart in it after a while when you have such a difficult time getting it edited, or it takes so much time. Well, basically, with other things that happen at the other job, I no longer receiving. I no longer have a second hand helping me or help out the work. Well, something I did, and I discussed it a while ago on here, but I'm not going to talk anymore on it. That was my situation that happened. Was my fault, and I could have avoided that. And now I pretty much got to fend for myself. That I don't have anybody backing me up if something happens or something doesn't quite go the way they want it. So, and basically, the other thing is, the reason I still keep that job is I don't have a lot of people to answer to. I don't have hundreds of millions of people that I have to answer to. Personally, people are, why don't you just get a quit your job at the church and pick up retail, pay for your place here. You get packages, and I'm like, that's all fine and good. I'm like, but you got social anxiety problems, and you get nervous energy. You tend to do things that you normally wouldn't do in large sums of people. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for people that work retail. There's people I worked with, or there's a guy at the church I work with on occasion. He's got a job in retail, and I gotta give him a lot of credit because it's not easy for him. It basically takes all his emotional energy just to be able to handle the job in itself. The guy's very intelligent. He went and got a bachelor's degree in general arts. So the guy is more than qualified to be doing what he's doing, and eventually he will make it to management someday. I can see that for him because he's good at managing things, and he's good at, he's a good leader. Years ago he never was, but things have changed dramatically for him. Not in a bad way, but in a very good. So I give him a lot of credit for facing day-to-day challenges that come up before him, and he pretty much beats them without throwing in the towel every time. So, and even factory work, I don't know if I would be able to keep up with the pace of having to deal with other people. And my job, pretty much, I don't really have to talk to anybody. The computer business is a little bit different. You only have like maybe one person that comes in here, one there. Sometimes two of them max. You have two people in here maximum. But usually a lot of them that come in, it's more or less like recently, it's not even been much computer work at all. The lady that brought her that Lenovo in, that's the first computer I've seen in weeks. Other than everybody else that comes in here, they're all here for spiritual advice and religious advice, and so that's a totally different field and a totally different study or change of pace compared to doing computers. So, and eventually, if this place does pan out, I would eventually probably rent out the side room and utilize that for working. So I'm thinking the market, we'll get back or finish up the marketing scheme here. Since COVID-19, a lot of rummage sales have been canceled because last week was supposed to be St. Nazianz, or the start of St. Nazianz rummage sales. That was canceled. Valor this week was canceled. And I'm thinking, well, Governor Evers is just kind of dragging his feet on this, saying, well, I don't think we want to open. Maybe we should just permanently stay like this. And well, I'm not going to get into what I'm thinking, what kind of clown he is, but I got 3 letter choice of words what to describe of him. But not only will people in the audience get angry at me for accusing such a guy like him of what I'm thinking on my mind, but now is not the time or place for it, so I'm not going to get into it. What my opinion of him, but in all curiosity, a nicer way of putting it is basically he's kind of wishy-washy, and I guess you can refer to him as twinkle toes. So there's not many people out there that I know that act like that, but other than he's just a very emotionless man that tends to drag his feet and says, "Well, maybe we should just permanently give up and just never open and drag this thing out as long as we can." A lot of the other states are starting to allow or open up and allow local mom and pop establishments to start running again. Because we got a lot of businesses here in the community that are just suffering right now because they can't be open because we got so many state troopers running around here. It's unreal. I have never seen that many state troopers running up and down Highway 10 here. There's probably about 6 or 7 state troopers a day that come through this town. And I'm thinking, I never recall seeing that many years past come through here and ride up and down the streets, checking on people or checking on things. And you would suspect the county to do that, but not state troopers. So I don't know what's going on. Everybody's like, well, gee, you live in this town, you should know everything that goes on. There's so much that goes on here that I have no clue about. It's unreal. Like one day, this was a couple of years ago, I was cutting grass at the church, and all of a sudden, like 3 or 4 squad cars show up at one of the apartments on the west end of town. Because between the gas station is basically the dividing mark between east and west. So basically, it's around where the daycare is. There's a drug bust, and the rental manager of the property and his son, they were blindsided. They didn't even know that there's a drug dealer in the property. And then there's a drug. Recently, there was a drug bust up around by the bank, and nobody knew much about the people that were currently owning the house, or the renters, or whoever was occupying the residence. So it's mind-boggling sometimes what goes on, and you don't even know until after the fact. So, well, I think we're going to call it a night. Tomorrow the weather is supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be 72 degrees for sure. So, God bless everybody. Stay safe. Don't watch the news. Don't believe all the lies and propaganda and stuff going on. Check out Dr. Rodney Howard or Ronald Howard Brown. I was just watching a stream of his. Last time was 1776. That was pretty good. There's a lot of good content on what's going on now, and you will hear stuff on there that you will not hear in the news. There's a lot of great information about what's going on in the United States, and it also talks about. So one good thing out of this, since Trump didn't sign or give oodles and oodles of amount of money to the World Health Organization. The United States is not stuck with mandated vaccines. So, hallelujah, Jesus. Thank the Lord that we don't have to be forced to take these death injections of vaccine that's going to kill you. Thank the Lord that you don't have to go through that here in the United States. Besides, all those injections might have tracking devices in them for all you know. So, praise the Holy Spirit for that accomplishment. And y'all have a good early morning.